Hi, my name is Wong Yi-en, and today I'm with my teammates Li Xuanying, Yi-en Rose, Qin Kit Yen, Yang Yi, and we will be presenting our library system. The objective of our library system is to develop a library management system that's accessible for both the librarians and students using Python. In our system, we will be able to perform various operations such as adding book, adding member, borrowing book, returning book, displaying book inventory, and displaying member inventory. Now we'll be showing you the system structure overview with the help of our flowchart. Now, at the start of the system, the user will have to input their roles, as if they are a librarian or student. Once they inputted their role, they will have to sign in, and if the sign is successful, they will be directed to their respective menu page. For librarian, they will be able to perform stuff such as adding books, adding members, displaying books, and displaying members. But for the student, they will be able to perform operations such as lending books, returning books, displaying book inventory. Now for adding books and adding members, they are quite similar, where the user will have to input the member or book details and the system will generate a random number for ID. Once they read through the book text file and member text file and make sure that the ID is unique, they will write the book details and member details in the book text files or the member text files. Now, if the ID is not unique, the user will be asked to refresh it to create a new random ID and it will loop back to reading and stuff. Now for displaying members and book inventory, the system will read through the book text file or member text file and print out the content for the user. Now for borrowing books, the user will have to put their book ID, and once the book ID is in the book text file and the book's available, the member will have to add in their member ID, and once their member ID is in the member text file, the book will be successfully borrowed and the status of the book text file will change from available to borrowed. The lending data will also be added into the lending text files. In the case that the book is not available or the book cannot be found, the system will ask the user if they want to borrow another book. And if they say yes, it will look back to the start of the function. But if they say no, it will look back to the menu page. Now for returning book, the user will also have to input their book ID. And once the book ID has been confirmed to be in the book text files, the system will have to input their member ID. If the member ID has also been confirmed from the lending text file and the book ID have also been confirmed in the lending text file, the book ID, the return process will be successful and the return date will be imported. The data of the book text file will be replaced to available and the update of the lending text file will be done. And once each operation has been complete, the system will loop back to its respective menu page. And that's all for the system structure overview, and we will now be explaining the code.
Hi everyone, my name is Yang Yi, and here I want to introduce the library menu. So after you have signed in this system, if you are a library, and you can see this is a menu just provided for you. So in this menu, you can see you can add member, add a new book, and display book inventory, and display member information, or you can just stop this program. So the first and second function is just for the library, and the third and fourth one, both library and student can use them. So let us try the first one. So if you want to add a new member in our system, this system will ask you to enter the name, the phone number, the email address, and then you can see the system automatically generates a 5-digit number for you as your member ID. No, not for you, no, for the member. So how we can do that? We import a random model in Python and we'll use the random.runInt method to generate a random 5-digit integer as the student ID or member ID. So there could be a case that the random number is same as an existing one in our database. So we will use while loop and we will use conditional system statements, and this could confirm that we will finally get a valid 5-digit integer as our new member's ID, and it could different from any existing ID in our database. So for the second function, add a new book, it is quite similar as the first one. So this function asks you to enter the book title and enter the book authors, and also generate a 5-digit integer for this. For the third and the fourth one, and these two functions display the book inventory or the member information. So we will use some instructions to handle the file. Actually, we use open function and read method to read all the content of a text file and print it out for the user. And user can scan if there is some useful information in them. And finally, for the cancel and sign out function, actually we use an infinite while loop. If a user want to cancel this program and can just enter yes, and then this infinite while loop will be exited and the program will start. Okay, here is my part, and thank you all.
For the student menu to be displayed, we need to first log in as a student. And if we are not a member of the library, we must register with the librarian first before we can access the student menu options. Let's say we are, we can sign in with our member ID and our phone number as a password. And once we have done so, we will be signed into the library system successfully. And the options that are available to the students are book lending, book returning, display book inventory, and cancel and sign out. So book lending will be demonstrated first. We will first input the book ID of the book that we wish to lend. And then the system will display whether it is available or not. And in this case, it is available and we wish to lend it. Once the book is lended successfully, the system will print out the lending date, which is today's date, and the system will also calculate and display the return date, which is 30 days from today. The book will be marked as unavailable in the book records, and the lending records will be updated with the lending details such as the member ID, book ID, lending date, and return date. Next, we will demonstrate the book returning process. Let's say we would like to return the same book we have lended previously. And we have to enter our member ID to confirm that it is indeed us who has borrowed that particular book. And if it is indeed us, the book will be returned successfully. The book will be marked as available for lending in the records, the book records, and the lending details in the lending records will be updated, stating that the book has been returned on a particular date. Next, we can check what book titles the library has, as well as the availability of the books by choosing the display book inventory option. As you can see, these are all the book titles that are available in the library and their corresponding availability in the library. Once we're done using the library system, we can choose to exit the system and sign out using the cancel and sign out option. The system will ask if we would like to exit the session or not. And if we still want to use the library system, we can input no. Otherwise, if we are done with using the system, we can input yes. And this would allow us to successfully sign out of the library system.
This is Li Xuanying, and now I will talk about the error handling in this system. For the main page for user sign in, the user will ask to input whether they are librarian or student. If they input other than that, it will print out invalid input and loop back to the beginning. For the librarian, if they enter the ID does not have length of 11, and the enter password does not have length of 13, or they enter wrong ID and password, the while loop will be initiated where the librarian can choose to input the login detail again or choose cancel to exit. For the student, if they input member ID does not have a length of 9, or enter a wrong login detail, same as librarian, the student can try to inputting their detail again if they wish to. There are also a try accept block to handle the error of reading sign-in information from opening file. For the menu for librarian and student, they have same error handling that a while loop, try accept else block is used to ensure that until a valid input is entered by user, when they are entered a number that does not have corresponding function of their input not an integer. For new member registration, there is also a while loop issued to allow the librarian to re-enter their detail if their output was invalid, and also used to generate the random ID number again if it is repeated from member text file. And the try except else block is utilized to handle the librarian invalid input such as the phone number is not an integer. For the book lending function, a while loop is used for handle the case of unexpected situation such as the book length that entered by user is not 7, wrong member ID, book already borrowed, or the book ID not being retrievable from the database. The system will not terminate unexpectedly but will instead provide appropriate error message to inform the user of the issue. And for the book returning, also a while loop is used to handle invalid book ID format. The book that user want to return is not being borrowed, and the book ID not found in book text file. For the add new book, same as new member registration, also a while loop is used to generate the random ID number again if it is repeated from the book text file. And display book and member inventory, there are also a try except block to handle the error of reading book information and member information from opening file.
This is our first time for coding a whole completely system using Python, so it is not smooth and simple for us. The first challenge is that involve many situations need to be considered, such as invalid input, exception handling for file, load in information verification, different function for each row, book availability checking, and others. Third, we try to use many if, else, try, except models to handle every situation that might be happen, and that will let the code to be more complex, but fortunately we did it. This code executes without errors and solve every invalid situation by using those methods. Besides, others challenge is using the while loop well. Usually we would like to use I equal to 1 while I greater than equal to 1 statement to make a loop, but obviously we cannot use this method only in this complex system. When we use a net while loop, there are often situations where the outer loop continues to execute after we break the inner loop, and this bothered us at first. Luckily, we found the situation. We set the number of I of the outer loop that larger than in the loop. We also use different loop statements in the code, such as while true statement. Others challenge is we don't know how to switch every case in the system smoothly. At the beginning, we use if as equal to 1 to execute the different case, but we realized that we cannot switch to others case while executing one of the case, so we start looking for any method through the internet that can switch case freely. Finally, we found this way and make our code simple. The system has many strengths. Firstly, the system will automatically generate the new member ID and book ID that does not repeat. It will read the book text and member text file to detect if the new ID is repeat. If repeat, librarians can refresh to let system generate a new ID. Thus, librarian does not need to check the file and generate different ID himself, and avoid the situation where duplicate ID cannot be detected smoothly with the system. Second, the program also uses important datetime models. The system will automatically import today's date to become landing date by using datetime date-to-day code and use datetime time delta days equal to 30. To calculate automatically to return due dates equal to landing date plus 30 days, as the length period is 30 days. So librarians does not need to calculate himself. Besides that, the system also has limitation. After the librarian adds the book, it cannot show the book store directly in the file. Then the librarians need to go to books text to check the books that have added. Moreover, members must enter their members ID multiple times. This takes a lot of time when members are using the library system. The future enhancement is we can limit the number of the books for student borrow, so that the students will come to library for reading the book that cannot be borrowed. Lastly, we can add a forget password to the students that forget their password. It can make the program more interesting. Of course, this will have its own section. Thank you for listening to our presentation.